Hello everyone, welcome back for another video. I got a few requests to talk about sentence structure, so get out your notebook and let's have a look at how we structure sentences in Dutch. We will start off easy and work our way up to more complicated sentence structures. Right at the beginning, when you start learning Dutch, they will give you the sentence structure subject, verb, rest. And this works for very simple sentences. And what they call rest obviously consists of many things, but we will get there in a moment. But for a sentence like this, ze werkt vandaag, she works today, we wonen in Amsterdam, we live in Amsterdam. This works. Subject, verb, rest. We wonen in Amsterdam. But remember, they only call this the rest to understand the very basics of Dutch grammar. But now already we can change the order of the words in these sentences. For a yes-no question, we start with the verb. So we go from ze werkt vandaag to werkt ze vandaag. A yes-no question that you can answer with ja or nee. We wonen in Amsterdam, we live in Amsterdam becomes wonen we in Amsterdam, do we live in Amsterdam? And note that we do not have a word for do as you would have in English. Do you live in Amsterdam? Woon je in Amsterdam? We just use the main verb. You can also put the time or the place at the beginning of the sentence without really changing the meaning of the sentence. Why would you do this in such a simple sentence as we wonen in Amsterdam? There's no real reason to do this, but when the sentences get more complicated and you want to put focus or emphasis on different parts of the sentence, this becomes handy. But for now, let's just use these simple sentences. Ze werkt vandaag. Vandaag werkt ze. We wonen in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam wonen we. So what is the difference? Is there any difference? Yes, there is. There is a slight difference in the nuance. The emphasis lies on the first word that you say in combination with the verb. So if you say we wonen in Amsterdam, you are stressing that we live in Amsterdam. But if you say in Amsterdam wonen we, you're saying that we live in Amsterdam. So when you say ze werkt vandaag, you're focusing on her working today. But when you say vandaag werkt ze, you're putting the emphasis not on the person, but on the action. So she's working today. She's not exercising. She's not going to school. She's working. We wonen in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam wonen we. Again, it's about the verb. So in Amsterdam we live. Maybe we don't work there. We don't go out there. We just live there. And so you see that whenever you start a sentence with something that's not the subject, you get what we call the inversion. The verb and the subject switch places. We can add another verb to the sentence, a modal verb, like kunnen or willen. Ze kan vandaag werken. She can work today. Be careful. Werken, the second verb goes in the infinitive. Don't say ze kan vandaag werk. No, ze kan vandaag werken. We willen in Amsterdam wonen. We want to live in Amsterdam. And as you see, the modal verbs kunnen and willen, we put them at the beginning of the sentence and the main verb goes at the end. And this doesn't change when we make a question or when we start the sentence with the time or the place. Kan ze vandaag werken? Vandaag kan ze werken. So as you see, in both the question and the sentence that we start with the time, we get the inversion, the subject and the verb switch places. Willen we in Amsterdam wonen? In Amsterdam willen we wonen. Again, the same thing. And why is willen here not will? Because it's we, it's plural. For the next step, let's have a look at what I first called the rest. What does this consist of, this rest? Let me give you a simple overview. The basic order of the words that we could see as the rest are first the object, then the time, then the person or the thing, the who or the what, and lastly the place. So when we add the other parts of the sentence, what we get is subject, verb, object, time, who or what, the place, and then the main verb. Obviously, we don't use these parts in every sentence that we make, but when we do have these parts, they need to go in this order. But let's build up to a sentence where we use all these parts. Hij schopt. Hij schopt de bal. Hij schopt de bal vanmiddag. Hij schopt de bal vanmiddag met zijn voet. Hij schopt de bal vanmiddag met zijn voet in het doel. Or, vanmiddag schopt hij de bal met zijn voet in het doel. So you see, this is a long, complicated sentence because it has many parts, but when you know where the different parts go, it's not that hard. Let's do another one. De studente ziet. De studente ziet de docent. De studente ziet de docent nu. De studente ziet de docent nu met zijn nieuwe vriendin. De studente ziet de docent nu met zijn nieuwe vriendin in het restaurant. De studente ziet de docent nu met zijn nieuwe vriendin in het restaurant zitten. Or a question. Ziet de studente hem nu met zijn nieuwe vriendin in het restaurant zitten? Okay, this last question was a yes-no question, but you can also make it into a WH question by adding a WH word and just put it at the beginning of the sentence. Waarom ziet de studente de docent nu met zijn nieuwe vriendin in het restaurant zitten? Waarom schopt hij de bal vanmiddag met zijn voet in het doel? That was the basic structure, but now let's move beyond that and let's look at what we call the HOOFDZIN, BIJZIN. What are the HOOFDZIN and the BIJZIN? In English, we call them the main clause and the subordinate clause. It sounds complicated. What does it mean? A clause is a part of a sentence that contains a subject and a verb. And a sentence can have more than one clause, and usually they are separated by what we call a conjunction, such as omdat, because, terwijl, while, als, if. And in Dutch, depending on which conjunction you use, the sentence structure changes. And there's luckily only two types. The types that get you a HOOFDZIN-HOOFDZIN combination and the types that get you a HOOFDZIN-BIJZIN combination. There are 5 conjunctions that we use for the HOOFDZIN-HOOFDZIN combination, and these are want, dus, en, of, maar. And for the other conjunctions, we use the HOOFDZIN-BIJZIN construction. So remember those 5, want, dus, en, of, maar, because that's a lot easier than just remembering all the other conjunctions that we use for the HOOFDZIN-BIJZIN structure. So for the HOOFDZIN-HOOFDZIN sentence, you get subject, verb, rest, the conjunction, subject, verb, rest. For example, mijn broertje eet een broodje, want hij heeft honger. Haar moeder kijkt een film en ze belt met een vriendin. So here there was nothing that you needed to change from the basic structure. But now let's look at a HOOFDZIN-BIJZIN construction. And a BIJZIN, so this subordinate clause, is not that complicated. All you need to remember is that any verb that you have in this part of the sentence needs to move to the end of the clause. So we start the sentence with a HOOFDZIN with a main clause. Ik maak mijn huiswerk. Subject, verb, rest. And the rest in this case is what do I make? My homework, mijn huiswerk. And now we add the conjunction terwijl. Ik maak mijn huiswerk terwijl. And we want to add the clause mijn broertje luistert naar muziek. But as I just said, we need to move any verb that we have in this sentence or this clause to the end, which is in this case luistert. So we get terwijl mijn broertje muziek luistert. Ik maak mijn huiswerk terwijl mijn broertje muziek luistert. Another example, mijn vriendin doet boodschappen. My girlfriend is buying groceries. We add the conjunction omdat, because, and then ze wil iets lekkers koken. We have 2 verbs here, wil en koken. They both have to go at the end, so we need to move wil. Koken is already at the end because it's the infinitive, it's the main verb here. So we get mijn vriendin doet boodschappen omdat ze iets lekkers wil koken. Now there's one last step that we will make in this video, and that is when we change the order of the clauses. We're not starting the sentence with the subject, so we get the inversion in the main clause. So it's not omdat ze iets lekkers wil koken. Mijn vriendin doet boodschappen. It is omdat ze iets lekkers wil koken, doet mijn vriendin boodschappen. So in this sentence we get both the bijzin and the inversion. Terwijl mijn broertje naar muziek luistert, maak ik mijn huiswerk. That's it for this week. I hope I made understanding sentence structure in Dutch a little bit clearer. Go over this video as many times as you need and try to produce some of your own sentences and just maybe build them up like I did to make them a little bit more complicated with each step. You can always drop your sentences in the comment section and I will check them for you. You can also check out the podcast if you like. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you will find it if you just look for Dutch Today. And I'll see you here again next week. Doei!